Was Robin truly Ted's soulmate all along in How I Met Your Mother? Why are so many fans mad about the death of the mother at the end of the series? And did the show's finale actually ruin everything, or was it justified? Hi, I'm Dylan, and you're watching Awesome Movies. Let's examine the pros and cons of How I Met Your Mother's ending to finally come to an ultimate conclusion about it. Was the official ending really that bad? We all remember how fans were pissed with the show's finale. After all, the whole Ted and Robin thing seemed to be as overplayed as Ross and Rachel in Friends, with the only exception being that much fewer fans rooted for Ted and Robin. Seems that no other ending in TV history received as much criticism as this one did. Well, except maybe for Game of Thrones. But what if it wasn't actually that awful and we just didn't understand it? Let's look into the reasons why this exact finale happened. First of all, even if it doesn't make it any better, this was the ending the showrunners had in mind from the very beginning. They filmed it while the show was in its second season, because otherwise, the actors who played Ted's kids would be visibly older at the end of the show and it would make no sense. And since then, they were leading up to this exact outcome through multiple hints here and there as to why, against all odds, Ted and Robin could end up together. There were actually so many hints that we will discuss them separately, so stay tuned till the end of the video. Another sad but rather realistic and profound thing about the ending was how the main characters had drifted apart from each other. Ted finally meets the love of his life and has kids. Lily and Marshall have their own life. Robin and Barney get divorced, and Robin eventually decides that she doesn't want to be there for the gang, even for the big things. As Robin says to Lily on that final Halloween in the apartment, "The five of us hanging out at McLaren's, being young and stupid, that part's over." Drifting apart is a natural thing to happen, even among the best of friends. And it often happens in real life, doesn't it? The next thing that doesn't sit well with the fans was Robin and Barney's too quick divorce. After all, it wasn't fair to split this awesome couple minutes after we saw the whole season about their wedding. However terrific it was for the fans to see Barney and Robin together, if you look at the two characters from a real-life point of view, were they supposed to be together? Even Robin mentions it a few times in the final season, when she notices that they are both too independent and can rarely work as a team. But the main reason why Ted and Tracy not living happily ever after makes a lot of sense has to do with a detail that most fans missed on the first watch. We all remember how Todd talks about meeting the one, and Tracy does too. Although for years, she thought that the one was her boyfriend Max, who tragically passed away on her 21st birthday. Remember how she didn't date anyone and spent a big part of her life mourning him? But ultimately, when she's ready to move on, she even asks the memory of Max whether it's time for her to let him go. And it happens about a day before she meets Ted, who becomes her the one. If you think about it, the same thing happens to Ted, who loses his wife, aka the one, and spends years not dating anyone else. And then comes the time when he has to ask his kids, consciously or unconsciously, whether he can let Tracy go and move on. Do you see how the whole show ends up being a thoroughly planned full circle story for Ted and Tracy? Both of them show us that this idea of the one is just a story, and it doesn't always hold up in reality. Do you still hate the ending and think that Ted and Robin should have never ended up together? Then keep watching. Ted plus Robin, to be or not to be. Right from the beginning of the show, we're told and shown why Ted and Robin aren't meant to be together. In the very first episode, it's revealed that they want very different things. He wants to get married and have kids, while she dreams of becoming a TV reporter and traveling the world. Even when they're dating, it turns out that Ted's parents had the same story. They wanted different things, but they still ended up together only to get divorced years later. So Ted and Robin break up, struggle to remain friends for a while, and date other people. At some point, Ted decides that they should get back together and says that he still loves her, but eventually she breaks his heart by saying she doesn't love him. Another reason why they aren't a perfect couple is, unlike Tracy, Robin doesn't like Ted's quirks. For example, she'd never go to a Renaissance fair with him. And on top of it all, she gets married to his friend, which means that even though she was never ready to settle down with Ted, she was quick to do it with Barney. I mean, remember her reaction to Ted's proposal and how sweetly she said yes to Barney? So how could these two ever end up together? Turns out they could. Despite the title of the show, and despite everything that happened throughout all 9 seasons, the first episode of How I Met Your Mother sets the whole plot as a love story between Ted and Robin. Throughout the entire show, there are hints that these two will be together. Remember how Ted said to his kids that Robin was often in their crayon drawings? Or how they knew that she was crazy about Halloween costumes? It all means that Ted and Robin getting back together didn't happen at random. They were still quite close, and his kids often saw them together. And you certainly recall how Marshall bet Lily that they'd end up together and never wanted to pay up, just saying, "Not yet." Or how Robin asked Lily, "Why isn't Ted marrying me?" right before his wedding to Stella? Or how she asked Ted to run away with her at her own wedding to Barney. And of course, we can't oversee the fact that Ted and Robin made each other better. She helped him stay on track even in the darkest times, and with his help, she could open up emotionally. Didn't that all foreshadow that they would make sense as a couple? Of course, it doesn't mean that Robin was Ted's soulmate. He loved her, but she wasn't his soulmate. Tracy was. Only when the yellow umbrella, the show's symbol of love, was gone did he steal the blue French horn again. Interestingly, if you pay attention, you'll realize that both Ted and Robin's dreams come true. He got married and had kids, and she became a reporter and traveled the world. So both of them got what they wanted, thus overcoming the main reason they broke up in the first place. And maybe, for the first time ever, the two of them can just be happy together? Do you agree? I know what you're thinking. Sure, you can talk about Ted and Robin being great together all you want, but I'll never forgive them for the mother's death. Well, this kind of reaction is totally understandable, so let's analyze that too. The mother, was her end justified? She was supposed to be the star of the show. After all, the title itself was about her. So it seemed to be cruel to get rid of the mother so quickly, and leave her only as an ephemeral character who shows up in the stories of others. Besides, we've been waiting for this woman to appear for 8 seasons. We spent the 9th season getting to know her and falling in love with her, just to lose her minutes after we finally see her and Ted together on that platform in Farhampton. After everything Ted has been through, all of us just wanted to see the happy ending. So it's hard to argue that it was a controversial decision to kill Tracy off without even showing how happy they were together. But we need to understand that even though it all happened so fast for us, it was a whole lifetime for Ted. And if you were attentive enough, you'd actually see it coming. You notice how he always refers to the mother in the past tense. You'd understand why Ted rushes to her in his imagination in the episode Time Travelers, wanting to spend 45 extra days with her. You'd see how Ted becomes gloomy when she says, "What mother will miss her daughter's wedding?" in season 9's Vesuvius. And how Tracy then says to him, "I don't want you to be the guy who lives in his stories. Life only moves forward." It means that at that moment, they already know about her sickness, and Ted still can't cope with the fact that she'll be soon gone. And finally, since Ted was telling his story for ages, why wasn't there a moment when the mother comes in and interrupts them? Simply because she was no more. What's more, throughout its run, the show deals with so many real-life issues, such as the death of Marshall's father and the revelation that Robin can't have kids. So it was logical to assume that, instead of giving us the happy ending we're all used to in sitcoms, the finale would deal with the unfortunate reality as well. But I know very well that even if you saw it coming, you might have been pissed. That's why an alternative, fan edit ending appeared on the web very soon after the show ended. It was very different from the official one, and it satisfied the Ted and Tracy shippers much more. Let's discuss why. Alternate fan ending. Was it really better? The alternate finale ends seconds after Ted says, "And that, kids, is how I met your mother," and leaves out everything about her getting sick and passing away and him running back to Robin. This ending is a classic happy ending the fans had been waiting for. It could become better only if, as one of the fans suggested, Tracy walked in at the end and said, "Is Dad telling one of his long stories again? Dinner's ready, kids." It would be so logical, after all the years Ted had spent searching for his soulmate, to see him together with the love of his life. A lot of fans even choose to pretend that it's not an alternate ending, but the ending. In so many ways, it's perfect. It gives the ultimate answer to the main question of the show, which is its title. It shows the happily ever after Ted and Tracy finally meeting under the yellow umbrella right at the point when they were ready to let go of the past and move on with their lives. Some fans even say that if the showrunners went with that alternative ending, How I Met Your Mother could have been called the best show in TV history. But keeping in mind everything we've been discussing for the past 10 minutes, does the official finale really ruin all the years spent with Ted, Robin, Marshall, Lily, and Barney? Does it take away all the fun we had with them? Sure, the official finale wasn't perfect, but life is never perfect, and How I Met Your Mother showed us more real-life issues than any other sitcom ever did. But whether you loved the ending or hated it, you still probably loved the show and like to rewatch it every now and then, simply because it was wait for it, dairy. After all, as Ted once said, because sometimes, even when you know something's gonna end, doesn't mean you can't enjoy the ride. What do you think about How I Met Your Mother's ending? Are you ready to rethink it and give it another chance? Share in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and stay awesome. Thanks for watching.